We're pretty much on schedule to get going here. I know, Glenn, you're hankering to talk after about some various items. Do you mind keeping that to the end, or do you want to do it now? It doesn't matter to me.
Well, it's one of those things about no news might be good news.
Okay, we'll do it now. Quick, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we're looking at getting some T-shirts, some crew neck and V-neck shirts from a local supplier. We've asked for some quotes, and when we get our quote back, we'll then post that on the site, and everybody can go out and get your T-shirts. Already in stock, though, are our Victoria EV Association, which looks like a bit of our of this card here, which will look great on your car. They go on the inside of your window, so they don't end up getting scraped off when you take your ice scraper to your window. And those are available now, $7 a piece, or 2 for 10. What a deal!
Delivered.
I got
delivered
on the South Island.
Glenn, what's an ice scraper?
It's something I remember from my days in Saskatchewan.
I don't know if we know anybody from Saskatchewan.
You can't swing a cat for hitting someone from Saskatchewan, Victoria.
I think that's part of our international subcommittee, right?
Yeah.
We deal with overseas, over mountains. Good. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate that. Anybody else got a quick announcement? Anything real quick? I think I didn't ask ahead. So we have guests today, 2 guests. Charlie P. He's allowed me to not have to pronounce his name. It's got a great, very colorful name, but my lame tongue doesn't get around it very well. So he'll introduce himself for sure. And he's here from University of Victoria, Formula Electric. Is that the project name? Well, he'll let you tell you all about it. And following his presentation, will take us to about 1:30, 1:40 in there. Then we'll have Mohammed from Plugzio. I think a lot of us are waiting for that too. So why don't you take it away, Charlie? It'd be great to have you here. And thanks for making time.
Fantastic, thank you. Could I just get permission to share my screen? Yeah, so great to be here. Thanks everyone for giving me your time. I just wanted to basically take a moment to spread the word a little bit about what we've got going on at Victoria. It's a very new organization. My name's Charlie. I'm the chief engineer for the University of Victoria's Formula Electric team. There's a couple of other club members who are here as well. I saw Trevor and Matthew in the names list. Sorry if I missed anyone. But yeah, there's a number of us. We're all students at the University of Victoria. So we are a brand new club. We started in the fall of 2019, right at the end there. Been a little bit of a slow takeoff for us with the events of the last year, of course, trying to wrangle people and get things done. But making progress now, and things are looking up in this semester. We did actually start in partnership with the pre-existing team. It's the University of Victoria Formula Racing team. So they're an internal combustion team, and they have been making cars for quite some time now, at least 10 years. I'm not sure if they were a little bit before that. But the idea is we design open wheel race cars, single person race cars, to compete in the Formula SAE international competition. So it's an international thing where a bunch of universities and different teams from across the world make these race cars under certain regulations and compete them in a bunch of dynamic events. There's also a knowledge portion. We present business cases on how we made things and get judged on that also. Yeah, so this is the electric team's very first build. We grew out of the internal combustion team, and we hope to compete with our first electric vehicle in the 2022 competition. We are actually registered for the 2021 competition, but because, of course, of events, it's mostly an online thing based on theory. So the 2022 one's the one we're excited for. So just a little bit about where the club came from. I mean, it's certainly the right sort of time and part of the world to be getting into electric vehicles. It was definitely born out of a lot of interest in the community at UVic. about electric vehicles. They already have a pre-existing hybrid team that has had some great success. It's a little bit of, or it's something that's sort of drying up a little bit just because electric vehicles are becoming so mainstream now, and that competition has really taken off. But yeah, it's definitely something that in Victoria, there's been a lot of sort of interest about green technologies, electric vehicles. There's a lot of classes that they're putting a lot of department support behind. So yeah, this was all born from that sort of an environment. And of course, there's a lot of people already on the internal combustion team that already really enjoy what they do. It was just a next logical step, I think. We also, of course, provide a great opportunity for the engineers at UVic to expand their skills, practice something a little bit more hands-on that you might not get the chance to do during a standard university program where the labs are very sort of controlled and there to help you meet accreditation. It's always the case where you learn something a lot better when you have to solve it in a real world situation. You're working on your own problems. So we're really about building skills, passing on knowledge. The electrical and computer engineering department, specifically at UVic, doesn't have a huge number of clubs associated with it really closely. So we're excited to act as sort of a figurehead and something that UVic can be proud of, attract other students and people who might be interested in the sort of work that we're doing. And of course, the big thing is to spread awareness and encourage the adoption of EV technologies. So again, I've already mentioned we're in a great part of the world. I'm sure I'm talking to the right people to start showing really what's possible and how fun this technology can be. It's certainly a different ball game, really, than internal combustion cars. Very quickly, just to kind of give you an idea of the diversity of our team. There's a number of sub-teams to do with managing different parts of the car. So we have a really good range of sort of disciplines in our team. We go from people who are very mechanically focused, with teams like the suspension and brakes team, the chassis team, people who want to practice modeling and working with materials, manufacturing. And then we've also got teams which are much more sort of either electronics focused or software focused. Systems and controls deals with a lot of the parameterization of the motor, managing our inputs and telling the motor what to do. And then vehicle dynamics, for example, is a team that works very closely on simulation, so dealing with a little bit more of the theoretical stuff. So basically something that we're proud that a lot of different engineers can sort of get excited about and get involved with. I should clarify as well, I've obviously been showing a couple of pictures here of some of our race cars. Now, this is the internal combustion team's 2019 car. Again, we don't have one just yet for the electric team. It is our first build. But there's a very good chance it's going to look very similar to that. Again, it's a lot of the internal combustion team's pre-existing members that are working closely with us to help build the electric vehicle. Our goal is to have 2 cars that we can take to competition. So it's something that our pre-existing members can still, who are more interested in the internal combustion car, can still get excited about. In terms of sort of, I've talked a little bit about our motivations in terms of how we measure success. I guess our goals, what we really aspire to. We're really about fostering knowledge transfer, making sure that people can develop their skills. So a lot of what we focus on is leadership positions, being able to sort of nurture the engineers that are growing and starting with the team, passing on the sort of skills and the tricks, I guess, that you learn only when you're actually faced with these problems in person. About learning new technologies, of course, this is a big deal for the electric vehicle team because this is all very new to us. It's our first time taking on such a project, so it's a really exciting opportunity to learn some of the skills and the techniques that are being done in the industry right now, and it's probably going to be a big player for the next few decades. Of course, we're big about the fun aspect of things. Team morale is sort of one of our benchmarks of how we measure how we're doing as a team. We try to encourage public outreach events, team events where we do things out in the community or with other universities. It's been difficult with COVID over the last year, but one thing that we're excited about hopefully still being able to do this summer is if we can get our car assembled and running, taking it out to some speedway or somewhere with some of the other local universities that do also compete in this competition, which has been scaled back this year. I've heard whisperings recently of Western Speedway, I think, either closing down or being repurposed. So we're still sort of watching that space, but that's something we're interested in for this summer. And then, of course, the other big thing is our competition success. So we're excited to be one of the teams that will compete at the FSAE competition in 2022. I believe it's taking place in California. But yeah, there's a number of events which hopefully we will be able to compete in. Historically, it's challenging even for first-year teams to produce a car that passes all the rules checks and competes. So even being able to get there is really just a huge accomplishment and compete. But yeah, we're hopeful that we'll be able to produce something that does well and is something that UVic can be proud of and point towards and say, this is what our engineers can do. One of the big things that's a benefit of any student club is our ties to the industry. And of course, that's a lot of what we're about, is putting students on a trajectory where they can get good placements and form really good ties with people in the in industry already. So co-op, for those that aren't familiar, it's a program that universities do. Victoria does mandatory co-op with their engineering program. It's work experience. So we take 4 mandatory terms of work experience, sort of interleaved between our studies. And we find great opportunities through this team working for employers that have noticed what we're doing and they're looking for that sort of student that engages and is a self-thinker. And a lot of the time at the events that we go to, either through FSAE or sort of more personally organized ones, we do meet a lot of industry professionals who offer, if not connections, jobs outright to our engineers. So it's a really exciting opportunity for a lot of people. As far as future employers go as well, having known that a student comes from a background where they took part in these teams, they sort of know that they're somebody who's committed to teamwork and taking charge of a project, making it their own, because it is all volunteer work here. We're not doing it for extra credit. And then, of course, just knowing that they've had experience working with the real life nitty-gritty of manufacturing, design, multidisciplinary teams. It's all sort of stuff that you learn by doing, and it's really tough to get across in a classroom. Yeah, so this semester, I guess it's a good time to talk a little bit about what we're doing. We've recently gotten funding from the university to purchase a motor and controller, which has been great, and the cells needed for the car. It's one of the, or those specifically are probably the single biggest investments needed to form the car. So getting the team off our feet, that's been fantastic. It's still an uphill battle. There's a lot that goes into making one of these cars, but we're excited this semester to be able to play with mounting the motor, designing the drivetrain linkages. So you can see here a picture which is not our car, but it's a team, Monash, I believe, who competes frequently, and they're actually one of the top teams. This is a similar design that we're going to base our vehicle off of. So the motor there is an MRAX 228. It tops out at 120 kilowatts. We are limited to a maximum power output in the competition of 80 kilowatts. Sneakily, I think we're planning to try to implement an unrestricted mode so we can really test this thing out. That's part of the fun of it. But keeping things safe, 80 kilowatts, that's still about 110 horsepower in what is essentially a go-kart. So it's still going to be plenty of fun. And yeah, the high voltage battery pack is something else that is a focus of our design work this semester. There's a number of rules we have to work around for safety, compartmentalization of the battery, safety features that go around it. But long story short, we're using just shy of 700 Samsung 40T cells, which are the ones I think the Tesla Model 3 uses. And the total pack voltage is going to be about 580 volts maximum. And to produce the 80 kilowatts, we're looking at around, I think it's 150 amps. So some serious power there. That's a really exciting design challenge for all of us. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of work in tuning the motor, setting it up with our controller, designing the control system to take the driver pedal and other controls and actually feed the motor something that it understands. So yeah, some really exciting work that's going on. That's this semester. So in the future, I sort of where we're going. The big one is complete the EV build. I sort of let on to David earlier. Something we're quite excited about, hopefully, this summer, is having the vehicle built and being able to sort of interact with the community a little bit more, climate allowing. So it'd be really nice to be able to get out and sort of show what we've made, maybe take it to some meetups. So that's a big one on our list, is having something that we can really show and be proud of. And then it's going to be about a year of making this thing, or taking this thing from a working vehicle to something that's competitive. There's a lot of sort of fine tuning involved. So hopefully by the time 2022 comes around, we'll be in a good position, well tested, well understood as far as our vehicle goes to compete. And then our long-term goals I've sort of led on already, is building a strong public image. So looking to get a little bit more involved in social media, become a little bit more active, easier to follow, creating public opportunities for community outreach, as I've sort of alluded to, being able to take our vehicle places, get involved. And then in general, just being able to showcase what the EV technologies that are on the market right now can do, show that they aren't really just a gimmick anymore, that you can have a lot of fun with them. Yeah, hopefully make sure that it's easy to see what we're doing and get involved. Yeah, that was pretty much it. So thank you very much for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, yeah, we'll just dive right into that. Thanks, Charlie. Anybody got questions? Nothing on the chat right now, but folks, feel free.
I'll be sticking around too,
Okay.
so if you have questions afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'll
For
take
sure.
that.
That's very cool, Charlie. Other teams do you compete against again?
So there's a number of teams from Canada. UBC, SFU, I think, also has a team, and then Western Canada, certainly U of T has a team. We were again trying to organize something over the summer with some of the more local teams, because cross-border travel, of course, is out of the question. But on a larger scale, the competition, the electrical competition is still growing, but I think there's more and more teams going every year. But to give you an idea, I mean, there's teams from all over the states that compete in the internal combustion competition every year, including the big universities like Harvard, I think, has a really good team that does pretty well. MIT competes and typically takes a vehicle. So, I mean, it really is international, and a whole bunch of teams from everywhere compete. There's a separate European competition where those guys like to show off. But even, I think, Germany comes over here and brings their vehicle over to the States.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were at Electrofest, I guess 2019, and we saw one of the local teams there showing a car, which is very neat. I know we have a lot of sponsors on here, and is there a way for perhaps anybody who's online today to get up and help with sponsorship?
Thank you so much for suggesting that. Yeah, I'll leave a link to the the team email. The best thing to do right now is get in contact with us. We do have a sponsorship package, so I can probably send it out if somebody wants to have access to that.
Yeah,
One
maybe
question.
if we get enough people who are interested, perhaps they'd like to go on and do sponsorship as well as the Victoria EV Association. That would be a good logo to have on your vehicle.
That's really fantastic. And I mean, of course, as a student club, we're all volunteers. That really makes a big difference to us. So thank you for suggesting it.
Yeah. Well, we're all volunteers here too.
Yeah,
Question for Charlie.
yeah, please go
Charlie?
Yes,
ahead.
Norman, thanks.
Yes, Charlie, the competition, is it on the basis of speed, distance, or both?
So there's a number of events. Obviously, it's something that there is a very competitive dynamic aspect to, but of course, as I sort of mentioned before, we also have to present a business case. It's a lot of judging the engineering process. But as far as the dynamic events go, and that certainly is the one people get excited about, there's an event where it's a timed lap trial. There's a acceleration event. There is an endurance event. So one of the important things for the EV competition is improving the longevity of the battery and the efficiency of these vehicles. So yeah, they do compete across a number of metrics.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Can I ask a question, Charlie?
Sure.
So I'm getting student vibes from you. What is your academic career looking like? And are you going to turn this into a dissertation or anything like that?
Yeah, thanks, Dindy. So I actually only started at UVic in 2020. I graduated from the mechatronics program at BCIT, and I'm just completing my electrical engineering degree. This will be my last year. Really, personally, this is just a sort of passion of mine. I love vehicles. I'm really big into mechanical work myself. And yeah, I get really excited about these sort of projects. Yeah, I'm hopeful that this could lead to some good career paths. I know a lot of people get hired by places like Tesla, General Motors, directly out of this competition. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Charlie, Jerry Dalbell here.
Hi, Jerry.
Congratulations, a very, very good presentation. I really enjoyed it. I have a loaded question for you. It's peripheral to your racing car project, but I'm curious to know what your professors and your research indicate to you in terms of battery electric vehicles like the ones that we own and the one that you're designing and building versus fuel cell.
Yes, I've already been informed that this is a bit of a hot topic with the club.
It is. Yes. I told you it's a loaded question.
Yeah, no, I think, and we did sort of touch on this before we got going here, but I think electric vehicles have the potential to be a better long-term investment, just because, I mean, the big thing is the battery technology, right? And what we're seeing now is that it's improving very, very quickly. There's huge advances being made. And I think that's the limiting factor at the moment that makes it sort of a toss-up. But because that's improving so quickly, and I haven't seen huge changes in the hydrogen power technology, I think that's really the way that things are going to be starting to push, maybe at least on the smaller scale for personal transportation. For larger vehicles, it might be a bit of a different story. But just in terms of convenience, having everybody to access this technology, being able to have something in your home that does it for you, I think the electric, the battery technology is really where it's going.
It would be sweet to see a Tesla Semi drive across Canada loading up all these cars on its way to California for your event.
Yeah, that's right. That would be a good sight, hey?
You should be able to do something about that, Dave.
Thanks. I'm working on it.
Charlie, do you have any, have you established a relationship yet with the Vancouver Island Motorsport Circuit in Cowichan?
No, I don't think we have. I don't personally handle a lot of our sponsorship dealings, but that doesn't ring a bell. That name doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. No, I know you won't have a car immediately, but I know members of the Tesla Club are doing slalom testing with Teslas. I think it's on February 13th. And we've been dealing with them to arrange an all-electric car day sometime in the summer. With COVID rules, we still don't know what's going to be allowed, but we'll keep you informed on that.
That'd be fantastic. It's definitely something we'd be interested in, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice circuit they've got up there. Apparently the internal combustion teams tested there in the past.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I'll check with those guys then, because I know a lot of those members, like ones that have been on the team for several years, are still working with us quite closely.
Sorry, Dave, I thought you
Yeah.
meant our internal combustion team. I think they all got arrested, but
I was just, yeah. I was just reading from the chat. I have no other claims. I make no other claims. Anybody else want to comment quickly here? We got a few minutes. We could, before we move on to our next guest. I'll maybe just interject here a bit of juicy, as you all know, tomorrow is the Super Bowl game. More importantly, it's my birthday, but we'll go with the Super Bowl anyway. There's some great EV ads coming up, and I think this is a breakthrough. This is awesome, and you can look them up in little snippets ahead. I think the full ads will be on during game time, but they're spending millions per 30-second spot, and got GM and Audi making responses, and I think General Motors might be trying to start World War III or something by attacking Norway.
They
But it's
can't
pretty
even
neat.
find Norway.
Exactly.
I thought that was hilarious. They're going to invade Norway and they can't even find it. We're dominant, small g, small m.
Hey, they found Sweden
Charles,
instead.
Yeah, that's right.
They can't find it because they've got Will Ferrell leading them.
Well, that's right. And our fine member Arno Kainen from Finland, they found Finland too, I believe. Maybe Arno could help them out. Charlie's just put up their team email on the chat for you folks who'd like to find that link. Thanks for that, Charlie. Any last comments to Charlie while we have him here with us? This is just awesome. I had one son who went through UVic engineering some years ago and got to know their program a little bit, and it's just ace, the stuff they're doing there, and it's great to have you come around and talk to us all. And hopefully you'll find members here today that might be able to help you in your movement forward. Any help is I think appreciated, and so that's just great, you guys. Trevor,
Thanks.
I see you nodding your head there, and you made comment. Are you on that team? Are you one of those guys on the team?
Yeah, I'm with the team. Yeah.
Hey, good man. Thanks for coming around today.
Thanks.
So, what's your role there?
I am I'm working with both teams. I handle the low voltage system on the internal combustion car and what we call the system and controls on the EV. So I'm doing all the low voltage stuff.
Wow, that's awesome. Anybody else on the team here that wants to say hello?
I am. Hi.
Yeah. Who's that? What's your name? Matthew?
Matthew, yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. I'm just working on some of the control stuff, like software end of things.
Very good. Super.
So
Well,
how
there
many
you are,
lines,
folks.
how many lines of code are in these then to be able to that you're working with?
Oh gosh.
Not tons so far, hey?
Not tons so far. Just the configuration for our controller or our microcontroller is like a few hundred, but that's all auto-generated, so that's fine. I've been doing some stuff with Simulink though, so not quite code yet, but might get there eventually.
There was an interesting interview with Sandy Monroe and Elon Musk the other day, and they discussed that very subject about how many lines of code Sandy asked Musk on the Model S or whatever, and Musk said, well, actually, there's too many. There's 300,000 or 400,000, he guessed. He says, but you work really hard to get rid of 2 and replace it with 1. You want less, not more.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Sure, Don, go ahead.
Of the team, I'm just wondering, does Dalhousie have a team? And if they do, I'm wondering if they're using any of their famous professor there who's developing the Tesla's lithium-ion batteries, and how Dalhousie stacks up with the others as in battery technology as for longevity and not just efficiency, but energy density in the batteries.
You say Tallahassee?
No, Dalhousie in Halifax.
Oh, I actually don't know. I wonder if any of the other members have recognized that team name. I certainly haven't heard of them.
Yeah, I believe they do have a team. I don't know if it's an EV team. I know they have an FSAA team, a Formula team, but I think it's a internal combustion is the only one I know of.
Yeah, because the guy who is one of the main designers behind the Tesla's advanced batteries is at Dalhousie. His name is Jeffrey, something like Jeffrey Dahl. Some of the other guys will know his name.
Don. D-A-N. Jeffrey Don.
Don, yes, D-A-H-N, yes. And I just thought that there would be a logical link up for him if the school had a team to be using what he's doing in development of batteries, but using some of his prototypes. Anyway.
Be interesting to look into. I certainly am probably going to reach out a message now that you've mentioned that. So thanks.
Very good. There's another item here came up. Projectaero.ca is something you might want to check out. It's in the chat as well. It's a Canadian electric car project. I don't know if you know about it, Charlie, but people keep popping stuff into the chat. It's important because once the program's over, I'm not sure that part gets recorded or if that information, I don't know, Jim, how does that work?
It does get recorded, and when we post the videos, I tend to post the chats as well, or any links from the chat.
And it's impossible for us to have the time to even research all this stuff. It can be set up for another time to talk about it and all that, but I just mention it because it does come through from members during these chats.
Actually, David, after we've got our presenters done, I can talk about Project Aero as I sat in on one of the presentations.
Oh, perfect. That's ace. Okay, we'll do that at the end. And remind me, Glenn. Then the opportunity here to have Charlie visit us along with Trevor and Matthew from University of Victoria's the electric car Formula Electric project. I botched that, but you all know what I mean. I'm really looking forward to seeing your results, and it would be really cool to get you over here on with our club events, whether it's at the racetrack, the motorsport in Cowichan, perhaps Western Speedway will still be around, or on a street event or anything at all. We do a thing with the hockey team Royals every year where we have a bunch of cars in the stadium. I can just see it on a, perched on a little stage right there in the concourse. That'd be awesome. We usually fill the arena with electric cars, and then we do a little parade in the intermission around the ice. And we've been doing this every year for 4 or 5 years, but of course we skipped with COVID, and we'll see what happens. I guess it's not happening this year, but we might have something in the summer, and then maybe this time next year, February of 2022, you guys will be ready by then, right? Putting pressure on. Set a deadline. February 1st next year. You're there.
Yeah. Assuming everything goes well, because everything always goes well, right?
Of course. So thanks again so much for your visit today, folks. And you're welcome to stay on, or if you have to get going, you're welcome to, because we have an interesting guest next. Mohammed comes to us from the Vancouver startup Plugzio, and I'm hoping, yes, there you are. Good. Thanks for coming, Mohammed. And if you could do yourself a favor by giving a little bio and plugging your pun intended, your business. And I think there's quite a few people here living in multi-unit residential buildings are really keen to hear what Mohammed's got to say. I know it looks promising. So take it away. We've got a good, however long your presentation, then we'll do a Q&A at the end.
Okay, of course. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So if you put me on spotlight, because my presentations are a little different than the rest of the people. Well, thank you so much, Jim and David, for having us here. And before I begin, I wanted to, say congratulations to Charlie, Trevor, Matthew, because your presentation actually reminded me of all the extracurricular activities I used to do at SFU. And university technically is all about these sorts of activities. The rest you're never going to remember. These are the stuff that more people should do. So seriously, congratulations on being part of this amazing team doing great work. This means a lot to the society, and also means a lot to you guys personally. And this was actually one of the reasons, because I was part of every extracurricular activity at SFU you could possibly imagine. And that was one of the reasons I got awarded top 30 under 30 in BC business. I've done a lot during that time. So I'm pretty sure you're on a very good path. Trust me, it's going to be a joyful ride. So keep on doing what you're doing. Amazing work. I'm going to begin my presentation. Let me put this up. Yes, see, this is the new way of doing presentations. I'm going to begin by a story of me getting a Model 3. So as soon as Elon Musk introduced the Model 3, I didn't even wait. I put in the order right there and then. And we were told we were given the number 3 Model 3 in BC. And me and my wife, we really enjoyed the celebrity status it gave us for like a month. Like everyone was pointing at our car saying, "Oh, is that the Model 3? How do you like it?" We're like, "Yes, this is good." So it was really fun. The car is not as clean as it used to be, but it's a lovely car. We still love it. But the problem actually began that night when we went into our garage. We had an outlet right next to our parking space, but we were denied access to it because the strata was who pays for it. What is the consumption? You know, we can't handle this. What if it blows up? Stuff like that. And then they were like, "Oh, pay us a huge hefty monthly fee." And I was like, "Well, what if I don't use the same amount on a monthly basis? I bought an electric vehicle to just be rid of monthly fees. So now you're just imposing monthly fees on me." So that's the problem. And then I talked to the EV club in Vancouver, and I realized the problem is it's not just for me. You know, electric vehicles in general are like smartphones on wheels. The technology is almost the same, and they even get delivered with a charger that can be plugged into a regular outlet to get charged. It's surprising actually to me that a lot of people don't still know that they can plug their vehicles into a regular outlet. They get surprised, like when I talk to them about this. I don't know why. I don't really want to think about why, but capitalism may be part of it. So the problem is properties pay for the electricity in their common property. So that's why they don't want to give out free electricity. It used to be okay because people used to be vacuum cleaning their cars using that power, and nobody cares about a few cents. But with electric vehicles, that's a bigger problem. So Plugzio solves that problem. This is the problem that we focus on. Plugzio allows real estate holders and utility companies to monitor, manage, and monetize power at a micro level. So essentially, we charge the clients for usage, and we basically get that money from the client. We pay the property. That's the whole thing. That's how it works. In terms of competitive analysis, there's 3 levels of charging. As we all know, I don't have to go through this deep. Level 2 and 3 are use cases are for transient parking. They are made to charge EVs in short bursts of high power. That's why there's a lot of them being shared around the city. I mean, level 2 and level 3 were essential to get people onto buying electric vehicles because they have this gas mentality that the chargers need to be outside the house, not inside the house. So it was the necessary evil to get people on electric vehicles, but it's not the ultimate solution. In our minds, the ultimate solution is having a charger where people live, where it's convenient to them, where people don't have to move their vehicles after 4 hours in their pajamas. That's why we focus on level 1 charging, which the use cases are not only for charging EVs, it's actually for charging anything. Electric micromobility is one of them, e-bikes, e-scooters. Actually, City of Victoria has us installed in their city parking bicycle parkades. And electric bicycles actually plug into them. So if you go to city parkades, you will probably see a lot of our units there. A lot of people actually from University of Victoria plug into, they bring their electric bicycles and plug into Plugzio, which is nice to see. But also battery storage, solar power monetization. We don't care where the power comes from, and we don't care where the power goes. The power could come from a solar panel, it could come from wind, or it could come from utility. We are here as a micro utility service, allowing people to sell that power. But we are made for long duration parking. Like this is what I really want everyone here to understand, where our positioning is. We're not here for short bursts of power. We're here for small bursts of power in long periods of time, right? So I always draw the line here. Whenever you have to think about load balancing, you have to consider level 1 charging. That's my definition of where we fit. So our products, we have 2 products. One of them is called Plugzio Universal. One of them is called Plugzio Integrated. Plugzio Universal is essentially a smart junction box. So you can make anything that comes after it smart and connected with all the features and functionalities that we have, like payments, monetization, and everything else. We have Plugzio Integrated, which is basically, I don't want to call it a smart outlet. So I usually call it a genius outlet because it's a smart outlet on steroids. It can do a lot more than just a smart outlet. And at the same time, it works in areas that smart outlets don't work at. And all of this, before I get to the software part, the use case is really simple. You plug in your device to Plugzio. There's a QR code on every Plugzio device that we have. I have one right here. So there's a QR code on it. You scan the QR code, or you put in the number, just like parking. And as soon as you do that, it tells you what the rate of usage is. It could be per hour, it could be per kilowatt hour, depending on what the manager sets it to be. And you confirm the rate, and this electricity starts flowing. So that's essentially how this works. And that number gets saved on your device, and next time you don't have to input anything. You just click on the activation button, and you basically enjoy the electricity flowing through your vehicle. So our core features are 3 things. We are generating revenues. So the manager can set prices for usage. The prices, as I mentioned, there could be per hour of charge, per kilowatt hours, or fixed monthly. I have more detail on this on the next slide. And consumption tracking. So the manager can see exactly what the consumption of each vehicle is, each user, and they can extract the reports. They can do further analysis on it as much as they want. And access control. You can basically specify who can use this outlet or device at what rate. So we have, like in properties, we have concierge who's on a free plan versus the others, the vehicle EV owners who have to pay a fee. So the manager can separate the accounts in our management dashboard. Here are the ways the manager can set prices per hour of usage, just like parking, per kilowatt hours, the jurisdiction depending. It's one of those gray areas that people, sometimes they charge per kilowatt hour, sometimes they charge per hour. Both work for us. Level 1 is a constant flow of electricity, so there's no trick there. It doesn't really matter what vehicle you drive or what type of a charger you have, you're going to get a constant power coming out of it. So per hour charge really makes sense. Or per activation. Every time you activate, no matter how much you use. You can also set prices based on time of day, based on the person using it, and some other external factors. So it's a super modular device. That's why we call it a micro utility service. Our traction so far, we've given out 11.6 megawatts of power. That's last week, so it's probably more than 12 megawatt hours of power. Over 2,000 charging sessions. We have installations over 20 cities, not only in North America, we also have installations in India and New Delhi. Their market is also massive. And we doubled our revenue in 2020, despite the global pandemic. It's, as much as I hate to say this, but we're McDonald's of chargers. And McDonald's makes money when the economy is down. So because people become more cost conscious, right? There's a difference between what I want and what I need. Like I want a Lamborghini, but all I need is a Honda Civic, right? So we cover what people need, not necessarily what people want. Like so that's why our revenue doubled last year, and a lot of people started understanding where our value proposition is. We've been featured on many publications, Innovation in Electric Vehicle Charging for Multi-Unit Dwellings. This was in California. There's funds that are being assigned to just level 1 charging. Governments, especially in California, BC is still a laggard, are realizing the value level 1 provides in shared spaces. So they're putting down money into this. And my last slide, 80% of our sales comes from word of mouth. We don't do advertising. This is the Tesla model of doing this. Here's why. We're affordable. We're at least 1/5 of the price of competition with the exact same feature set. So we're not comparing ourselves to dumb chargers. This is smart chargers. We are very simple. Installing an outlet is electrical contractor 101. And there is no unnecessary permits to install an outlet. And we're scalable. 5 times as many people can get access to charging on the same electrical panel. So 5 people can have a charge rather than 1 lucky person. Thanks so much for having us. I would love to answer any questions that you have. So.
Oh, thanks, Mohammed. That was fabulous. Really enjoyed that. We're certainly open to questions. I do have one here already in the chat. Somebody just wants to know if you've got a 240 volt unit planned or if you're working on that.
Good question.
Just speak.
So briefly, I want to say our philosophy doesn't work with 240 volts because we want to be a long duration, scalable solution. But between me and you, we are working on a 240 volts, but let's not talk about
it. Right on. There's got to be lots of questions for Mohammed. It seems so clear cut. It's almost too simple to believe. You've probably heard that before.
Like carbon plunk.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
Yeah, we basically took a simple idea and made it work, right? So we're not here to say add infrastructure because you own an EV. We're saying like use existing infrastructure. So instead of adding new infrastructure, like buildings by code have a lot of outlets in the garage, but they're not being used for many reasons. One of them being people don't really know they can use them. So we're here. And the bigger one is actually the strata doesn't know how to charge people with it. So we're essentially bringing fairness to multi-unit properties with our solution. It's beyond just charging. It's because you pay for what you use, not what people think you may use.
Right on. So we have Lee from Edwards Electric. It might not be Lee. Oh, it is Lee. Hi, Lee.
Hey guys.
You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You probably know Don Chandler in Vancouver, right?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, I was just chatting with him a few minutes ago, actually, before I came on the call. So we're one of, in his mind, we're one of 2 electrical contractors in BC that are capable of doing EV plans themselves.
Yes.
We do a lot of designs for a lot of different stratas. One of the questions I have is, I'll give you an example. We have a client who has 55 places, stalls, and they're looking to, they recognize the value of a level 1, which can provide 1,400 or 1,900 watts.
Yes.
And, but they also want to not necessarily, they want to take advantage of rebates that are available. So, and I have weekly conversation with the rebate manager at Hydro, but what are you seeing down the pipeline in that regard? And my second question will be, in that similar situation, what energy management is still going to, do you provide, or are you capable of providing, because that's still going to be of this, you're still going to need energy management if you have, let's say, 100 amp panel supplying more than the 100% is capable of the level ones that you provide.
Good question. Two very good questions. And I really enjoyed the fact that you know exactly what the power consumption of level 1 is, because people, you said the exact numbers, because people don't generally know that not all of the 15 amps or 20 amps that the device is at is going to be used. It's only 80% of that. So great question. So in terms of government subsidies, we are working with the government, and if anyone can put us in touch with the government. The problem with the government is the people who influence the government are the corporations who only produce level 2 chargers, and they want to have discounts on their products rather than solving what people really need. The government doesn't really consult with us, even though BC Hydro uses our products, which is interesting. And BC Hydro really knows our product. They know exactly what we stand for. They know our philosophy behind the product, but still they think they only need to support level 2. And it's pretty sad, because I was actually talking to a government representative 2 days ago, and I told them the discussion of charging, instead of being what level of charging do you really need, has turned into there is government incentive. Is if you don't act now, there are chances that the government is not going to put money down on this anymore, which is wrong, because like you should solve people's problems, not just incentivize them in a way that gives them a product that they may not need. And I always thought, when I talk to government, I don't want to make this longer. I'm not saying level 2 charging or level 3 charging is bad. In fact, it's not. It has its own position, just like level 1 charging. All I always tell them, and if you talk to them as well, please tell them level 1 charging is an option, and it needs to be treated as an option, right? So if you're providing incentives, also provide incentives for level 1. So we are working on that. Short answer is that I don't think the government is going to provide any incentives anytime soon. And I always tell clients, without even incentives, we're going to be much cheaper than level 2 with incentives. So that's my answer for government. I hope they wake up soon and realize the power level 1 charging has. We have clients in California, because California is actually, the government is supporting us more than BC, surprising. We have clients in California that as soon as they installed level 1 charging in their garage, 2 people in the building put down money to buy electric vehicles. That's the power that we have. And they installed 4 Plugzio units, fully installed, at the cost of 1 level 2 charger. So that's the power that we have in our arsenal. And I hope government wakes up to this. I also told the government, with all the money that they have, BC government, that they have put into this EV charging for multi-unit residentials, if they included level 1 charging, we could have solved the EV charging problem for all of our buildings, 100% of them. That's how affordable level 1 is, and it just solves the problem for people. In terms of energy management, level 1 is already at the bottom of the spectrum in terms of speed. So we don't touch the speed of power, but we work with, we do time sharing. So if our devices are on the same circuit, or for various reasons, we basically, you can say if one of them is on, the other 4 is off, right? And there's no way they can be on at all. But on the other hand, what we have, let me actually show you our dashboard, because it's fun to see. This is our management dashboard right here. So this is where the management, whoever that is, it could be the strata, it could be you as an electrician, sees the devices. You can see a list of the usage. You can see charts, aggregate numbers. The fun thing is this graph here actually shows you exactly what times of the day people use this. I have a level 1 charger in my office, so I'm going to show you my charger. As you can see, I use it during the day because I'm here during the day. But with majority of our clients, actually the charging happens overnight. But what I wanted to show you here is in device management, we have capabilities, and these are all of the devices that somebody manages. You can see there's public ones. Anybody coming into this device has to pay 20 cents per hour. And there's private ones. So meaning these people have a different rate than the public. Private ones meaning it's not open to public. It's only open to a few people. And they have their own specific rates. But the power here is that, first of all, our search here is regex. So you can search for anything here, regex enabled. But you can come in here and you can say, I want to turn all of the devices off. And then you can go to different, the next section, you can say, I want to turn off all the devices in apartments. And if you select this all of the devices in the apartment are shut off immediately. This is the way that utilities can actually come in and manage load in different sections of the city, because every device here has a description, and the description can be as long as they want. They could say zones, and they could say, public garages. And this is actually used in New Delhi because the power there is different than the power that we have here. So the utility there actually goes in and says, I want to shut down power to this region because the consumption of power in that region is very high. So we don't do power management, we do time management. Holy cow, I talked so much.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We got lots of questions for you, so you can keep going. I got another one here from Larry Bolt. Larry, do you want to give us your question?
Sure, yeah. Hi, Mohammed. I had actually contacted you early last year when I was trying to get my level 2 installed in we have a 63 unit condo, 4 buildings. I've held off on doing anything because they did a thing this summer where they had an engineer come in and check all the stuff, the capacity. And at this point told, no, not going to happen. So this is my next option. And in fact, I'm with the Mid-Vancouver Island Electric Vehicle Association. Earlier this week, I posted a link to your website with what I've been up to. And someone from, I think it was Glenn from Victoria, suggested I be here today. So a couple of things. On your website, you have EV Gals listed there, and they look at charging 50 cents an hour, that they would manage everything, give us the free unit and everything. And looking through your website a little further, I'm seeing a suggestion somewhere around 20 cents an hour, because at this point in time, the federal government controls the pricing of hydro, as I understand it, electricity. And so we can't resell it. So as per kilowatt hour in Canada.
Yes.
So is 20 cents a reasonable amount? Like 50 cents, if I put 8 hours a night on it, I'm looking at, over $100 every month, whereas 20 cents seemed a more reasonable number. But what is your thoughts on that part? And also, have you put them in anywhere in Nanaimo? And also, the last question is, originally you had listed on your website, I don't see it now, level 1 or 1.5. So I remember that on your website earlier last year. Okay, I'll let you speak now.
Very good one. Okay, very good question. So you can bring me out of spotlight now so we can see people who ask questions. I just noticed that. So as Plugzio, we don't have electricians who install for us. So basically what happens is, there are electricians out there that actually do the installations, and this 20 cents per hour is something that we don't set. So we give you the platform, and the platform that we give you allows you to charge whatever you want and whatever you feel like charging. So let me bring up the my thing again. Can everyone see this? Yes. My screen?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So you can come in here and create as many payment plans as you want. You can charge per activation. You can set different rates. You can set different rates for different people. It's up to you. So we are a micro utility service. So we don't we don't mandate on how people should charge. And even though there are rules that we shouldn't resell electricity, those rules are for, are not meant for big corporations apparently, because Tesla was charging me per kilowatt hours a while back. But anyways, that's those rules. Even BC Hydro allows charging per hour of usage, like parking, not per kilowatt hours, which is fair enough for us. We have a whole article on this on our website on why charging per hour of charging makes more sense for level 1 charging. So it really 20 cents. Oh, and EVGals is a company that was created to make sure EV owners who live in apartment buildings can have access to charging. Like that was the mandate behind EVGals. And their business model works like Rogers. They give you a free phone. In this case, they give you a free charger, and they charge you an extra fee on your usage, not like a fixed fee, but on your usage, so they can make up for the money that they put in to do the installation on the device. I think it's a fair deal. 50 cents for them is their number that they set for this. We don't manage them. We don't control them. If somebody else comes in and does a better job than EVGals, we're going to support them as well. Like, so EVGals is not really our company. It's a company that really wanted to help EV owners who live in apartment buildings. So that's for that. Setting the rate, we can talk later about what rates you should set, because there are many factors you should look into. I don't want to take the time of everyone here. And Nanaimo, we don't have an installation in Nanaimo. We would love to have installations in Nanaimo. Very good point. And about level 1.5, the reason we created that is because of this mentality that people still have, that they think they need level 2 charging to be able to move around town, which is only an assumption that was created for people to buy high power chargers. But everybody travels very few. Your car keys actually travel more than your car does. So and because at that time, this is like a year ago, we changed that. We don't even talk about 1.5. At level 1 charging would get this immediate response that, oh, that's slow charging, we don't want it. We kind of thought about changing it and saying, okay, this is not level 1, this is level 1.5. But in fact, there is no level 1.5. Like, I'm being quite honest here. So there's just level 1 charging. And level 1 charging comes in 2 flavors. One is 15 amps and one is 20 amps charging. Like the one that I have at the office and at home, there are 20 amps chargers, and they give me about 11 kilometers per hour of charge, which gives me enough charge to go anywhere. My battery is always 100% charged, and it only takes me about 4 hours to get fully charged every night. And I'm so glad I didn't spend money on level 2 chargers, because the quote I got to install level 2 charger at my space was $12,000. And I ended up spending $600 to install an outlet, a Plugzio charger. So that's the story behind 1.5. There is no 1.5. Right now, I think more people know about level 1 charging being enough for them. So we don't have to advertise 1.5 anymore.
Yeah. Right on. Oh, that's awesome. I've got a short list of questions here from the chat. Mohammed,
Sure.
I'll just run them by quick. Maybe
Sure.
I think some of them will be fairly quick. Cost per unit. I think without the install, just the cost of a unit. Do you have a price?
It really depends on the type of the unit. I'm going to answer this very quickly. We have 3 types of devices. We have Bluetooth devices, which are passive devices, so they communicate to our server via your phone. They range around $250. We have Wi-Fi devices, which are perfect for scale. They range about $350. And we have cellular devices which connect immediately to the server without any need for external hubs or external, anything, routers. And they range about $450. So depending on the type of the product that you need, the price is different.
Right, and it may have been in some of your other answer. Do you have a fee other than the person buys the unit, installs it? There's no fee charged by you to manage the app, or?
There is no fee
No.
charged by us to manage the app. What we basically do is we put in the numbers of the services that we provide. We include it in the price of the unit because we don't need to separate them. The only reason the big companies separate them is because the charges are so high that if they include it with the price of the unit, it just doesn't make sense. For us, it makes sense. We give you the unit, the Bluetooth device that we sell out, we give it to you, including 5 years of unlimited service at the cost that is unbelievable to people. So, so we include every cost, and we don't take commissions out of the electricity charge. So we want to be the path of least resistance.
Right on. Then, so you have any installed equipment in Stratas in Victoria?
In Victoria, no. We have a lot of them in Vancouver. We have a lot of them in California, New Jersey. There's a lot of places, not in Victoria. I would love to. We have Victoria, we have bicycle chargers, which are, I don't remember the exact addresses, but these are city parkades. So if you go to city parkades, you will see them. You will see the Plugzio chargers.
When were they installed? You know, last year?
Last year, yes.
Yeah,
last
yeah,
year.
great on. That was another question. There's also a question here about, there's some more coming up on chat all the time. So how does it communicate? You mentioned Bluetooth. Is that just one of the units, or do you want to talk about?
They all communicate with our server, either via Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or full cellular connectivity.
Cool.
So depending on your use case, there's different ways that it communicates with our server.
Nice. I'll just keep going on here. There's a question. I think it was from Lee. Lee, do you want to jump on that one again? Because it's a little more technical. So why don't you just...
Yeah, and then Mohammed, looking forward to just chatting with you further at a different time. But if you can just clarify, because this is an important point for energy management. So on a 100 amp 3-phase panel, you know, the calculation for a unit, we can only sustain 15 of your units on that. What if we had 16? Do you have an energy management system that can monitor all of them to choke off the power if needed?
That's the question more for Dawn, Dawn Turner than us, because energy management systems for properties are not really yet certified. So technically speaking, absolutely, you could put in 300 of Plugzio units and we can manage them. But the problem is the certification around it and all the other fancy stuff that we don't handle is out of our control.
That's okay. I can handle that part. So you do have the capabilities of it.
But technically we can, we even have properties in California that they install 30 units. They know only one of them is going to be used. So we enable the other 29 as more people join in the network, right? We don't do load balancing. We only do time balancing. So it's not like the speed of people drop as more people join. It's about this guy gets it first, then the other guy. That's why we always suggest everyone should be on a dedicated circuit. It's especially if you're on a 3-phase, there's a lot of wiring that you can share between the 3-phase. We did SFU on a 3-phase panel. It was 45 units. They solved EV charging problem at the university completely. Like nobody argues about EV charging at SFU anymore. And they spent $55,000 on all of them, including the installation, including the new transformer they had to put in. So that's the price difference we're talking about here.
Okay. Yeah, we'll chat more. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Lee and Mohammed. Okay, Stefan just like to make a comment that he charges his Model 3 Tesla on a 120 volt 16 amp plug in his apartment building with no problems at all. He charges once or twice a week, and he lives with that quite nicely. Rick Perrin's asking here about BC Hydro not charging or not being allowed to charge. So I think you spoke to that question a little bit about the fact that you charge by time, because we're not allowed to sell by kilowatt hours.
Yes.
Brendan would like to know if there's any plans to put charges on the ferries, or is it worth it? That would have to be well, I'm not saying it would have to be, it would be a battery thing, I guess. But anyway, maybe any comment about that?
Very good point. If you have connections in the ferries, I would love to talk to them. The big problem with ferries that I can think of is positioning the vehicles around the outlets in the ferry, right? Because you have to position them where the outlets are. So it's kind of more of a logistics problem than installing these Plugzio units there. But if you have connections in the ferries, I would love to talk to them, because ferries is actually a very good situation for us. Yes. And in terms of the legality around charging for electricity, if you go to our help page, which is help.plugs.io, and search for, is it legal to charge for electricity? There's a full article we have on it with examples. So,
right on. Well, and this club has done some work lobbying government for not just a right to charge, but also with the Federal Measurement Canada, and the notion that this kilowatt hour charging will be changed. And we're looking at a year and a half or so. Apparently, they will have a solution to that.
Yes, so California, just so you guys know, California has changed the mandate from 2021, January 1st. The chargers that are installed must comply with the policies around. They have a whole list of policies, and we comply with all of them. One of the reasons you have to confirm the rate of electricity when you activate the charge is exactly because of this California policy, because California mandates everyone should accept the rate before the electricity starts flowing. This is not the case, as an example, with ChargePoint, because you just tap your phone or your card and electricity starts flowing. You have to accept the rate, and you do it with Plugzio. So we comply with the policies in California. I'm pretty sure BC is going to follow suit.
And the kilowatt hour thing is a Federal Measurement Canada issue.
Yes.
As well. Glenn has pointed out that the ferry issue, we went over this a few years back, and there's the accessibility issue, but the other problem is the environmental reasons. You're running a diesel generator to produce the electricity. It's kind of counterproductive.
Absolutely. But I was more interested in having us in the electric ferry they're working on.
Yes. Good
that
point.
Would be super awesome.
Well, a dedicated battery could dump down to the cars, right, as you went along.
Yes.
Okay, and I have a couple questions here from Don. Nissan, he feels there's a false notion from some manufacturers like Nissan that push the fact that charging on level 1 is, in fact, you should only do it in emergencies, because the implication is that it's a bit hard on the batteries. So you could speak to that perhaps, although that's a car thing. And something about a 20 amp plug. Sorry, Don, you're going to have to run that yourself. But Mohammed, why don't you speak to the first issue there with the
so
level 1 in emergency?
The first issue is exactly why we called it level 1.5, because people coming from gas vehicles, when you tell them it takes 6 hours, 7 hours to charge your vehicle on a level 1 charger, they immediately think they have to stand there for 6 hours until the car is charged. They don't understand that. Oh, it's so funny, David. Like, I have meetings with people in stratas, and one of the arguments they had was, if we're having chargers in our apartment building, we need to have a gas pump here too. I'm like, dude, like, we're talking about very different things here, right? So people come from this gas mentality that charging a vehicle with an outlet is not enough. And since Nissan wants to sell more cars, they have to kind of follow that suit and say, this is only for emergency, right? Like, you need a bigger charger. But in fact, you don't need a bigger charger. Like, it's 95% of any vehicle's lifetime is spent parked somewhere. And our philosophy is, if you can plug in anywhere you charge to a level 1 outlet, you will be 100% charged all the time. right? So it's a matter of getting the outlets everywhere. And in fact, we're talking to cities to embed Plugzio in lampposts, especially in cities where they change the lamppost from the old lights to LED lights. There is extra capacity available that could be transformed into our product, allowing people who don't have garage orphans, to have access to electricity. So it's the old mentality. I had this discussion very shortly with BC Hydro on this as well, because BC Hydro website says level 1 charging kit takes 24 hours to charge a battery. And I'm like, that's so wrong, because it takes 24 hours if you go from 0 to 100. But electric vehicle drivers are like bumblebees. They go from charger to charger to charger. It's almost never from 0 to 100. Right?
I love your bumblebee analogy. That's
yeah, like we do it opportunistically, right? Like we
buzz around.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to IKEA the other day, and I was just wandering around the garage looking for a charger. And my wife was like, "What are you doing? Like we're almost fully charged." I was like, "Well, why not? Like we get a charger for free." So
yeah.
So it's exactly like that. And I told BC Hydro, it actually takes me 4 hours to fully charge every night. Why do you say 20 hours for level 1?
Right on. And the question comes up in some circles I've heard about battery degradation. Can somebody speak to that? I'm not saying you can't, Mohammed, but maybe there's others in the club that know more about that. I think it's bogus, but
it's funny because when it comes to mobile phones, they say faster charging destroys your battery. When it comes to vehicles, they say slower charging may destroy your battery. They're both the same batteries. I mean, it really depends on who is telling you the information. If it's ChargePoint, of course they want to sell you bigger chargers because they make more money on them. But if you're talking about physics, slower charge on batteries is actually better.
Right on.
It's the law of physics. I mean, you can't argue with physics.
You're right on. Don Scott, do you want to jump in on that small plug question you had? I didn't understand the question. So
okay. Well, you see them in the hardware stores and whatnot. There's a 20 amp plug that looks just like a 15 amp plug, except it's got one of the plugs turned 90 degrees.
Yes.
One of the prongs is turned 90 degrees.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you've looked at using that to hook into your system and what that difference would make. That might give you 1.5.
Yeah, we have both of them. This here you see.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
This is the 20 amp one. Yes.
Okay.
So in the Plugzio integrated, that is the replacement for outlets, we have 15 amps and 20 amps. I can definitely tell you we have sold 98% of these in 20 amp versions rather than 15 amp, because even though the outlet you have in your garage is actually a 15 amp outlet, the wiring behind it is a 12 gauge wire. So you can easily upgrade that to a 20 amp outlet and put a 20 amp breaker on it without having to, go into expensive changes in wiring. So we always suggest 20 amp. I originally thought we're going to sell more 15 amps, but we have a huge inventory of 15 amp units that we haven't sold. So yeah. So what I have to say is the internal relay in each of our devices, this and the universal unit are 30 amps rated. So we did that for safety reasons, but we don't need that much power. It's 20 amps is going to charge your vehicle at 16 amps, which is 30% higher than the 30% faster than the 15 amps, because 15 amp charges you at 12 amps. And I always recommend it. I'm on level 1 and I've never had to. Don Turner was actually on level 1 the whole time. So
right on. Lee has interjected here that Canadian electrical code mandates us to install only 20 amp.
Thank you, Don, for that. Like I had argument. This is not a mandate in anywhere in North America other than Canada, right? And I have arguments, extensive arguments with Don on why this is the case, and there is no physical reason behind it.
Yeah.
So but it's better for the users anyways. So why not?
Yeah, that was Lee's input there. So it sounds like you guys have got lots to talk about, which is great. Love to hear what comes from that. Brendan wants to apologize because he's a newbie. Gets all his stupid questions from YouTube. Believe me, Brendan, there's no need to apologize.
There are no stupid questions.
There's absolutely no need to apologize, however, for a stupid question. There's no such, it's the usual. There's no dumb questions at all. I'm just trying to find where Brendan's. It was about the battery degradation, and Stefan jumped in and explained his 3 years plus of charging on the 120 volt has caused no range loss at all. So there's a real good answer right there. Kate lives in a 27 unit condo in Victoria. If council was interested in your product, Mohammed, what process would you suggest we follow? That's a great question.
The process is, so there's a few things, and this is on our website as well. So there's a few things I suggest. First of all, don't go to the Strata with the idea of installing chargers, because this is foreign to them. Go with the idea of installing an outlet. And whenever we approach Stratas, we always tell them an outlet can be used by anyone to do anything. There's no harm in having an outlet in your garage, because you can vacuum clean your car if you don't want it to charge it. So that just breaks all of the resistance the Strata has, because the level 2 charger on a wall has only one purpose, but an outlet has multiple. So that's the number one thing. Don't go say I want to have a charger, because they're going to say no. But if you go and say I want to have an outlet, of course, and they understand that. That's the first thing. And the other things is contact us. We will help you in the process. We're here to support you along the way. So send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat box here as well. Send me an email. Actually, my email is right here too. So send me an email. We will support you in the process.
Awesome. And perhaps you could clarify if an underground garage has bad or no mobile data, does the third version of your connectivity work? Connect to your server?
Very good question. So as I mentioned before, there is Wi-Fi and there is Bluetooth that is available. I always, and just listen to me, whoever is listening right now, I always suggest installing Wi-Fi, because as vehicles are moving, they are becoming smarter and smarter, and they're becoming more like smartphones than vehicles. And they need Wi-Fi at some point. Like Tesla vehicles already look for Wi-Fi every time you park them. So I would totally suggest with anybody who lives in a building that their garage is a cave, install a Wi-Fi router there and install Plugzio, the Wi-Fi version of it. Because not only the Plugzio will be connected all the time and you have all the remote functionalities, but also your vehicle can connect to that Wi-Fi and get updates and all the other security features that come with the vehicles. Our number is usually, if you're installing more than 5 units, the discount you receive on the Wi-Fi, and the discount is obvious because cellular devices, we have to pay cellular fees, that's why they're more expensive. So the discount you receive after 5 units actually pays for the router that you have to install. So it compensates for that. So we always suggest Wi-Fi, but if Wi-Fi is not your cup of tea, go with Bluetooth. It's like your Fitbit. It works asynchronously and it works great for people. So we cover all our options. Oh, you're on mute, David.
Okay, thanks. The unit that comes with your car handles 20 amps, yeah?
Depends on what car you own. Teslas, you can buy a 20 amp plug. It's rather cheap. I don't think Nissan Leafs come with 20 amps, but buying a 20 amp charger off of Amazon is also very cheap. So you can buy a 20 amp charger off of Amazon or your local EV store and charge it with them. So it depends on your vehicle.
So is the car not going to regulate what you take in?
The car.
Are we talking about the format, Don? Do you want to clarify what you're asking? Sorry, Don Scott.
Well, when you like when you buy the car, my Nissan Leaf, it comes with a plug that I can plug into my 110.
Yes.
Into the car.
Yes.
Can I plug that same plug into, or the same cord into a 20 amp, or do I have to have a special converter plug to go to the 20 amp? And will the 15 amp thing that comes from Nissan still work, or do I have to buy a new $300 cable to go from the 20 amp to the car?
So your 15 amp is going to be more than enough, Don. You don't need to necessarily go up and buy a 20 amp charger. So that's the first thing. And you can always, this is what I always tell people. If you really think you need a faster charger, fine. Start with level 1. And if you don't like it, we will refund you the money. Right? If it doesn't satisfy your daily usage, we will refund you the money because we know it does. So with your charger, Don, you can go out and buy a 20 amp. So essentially what the charger does is the circuitry inside the charger tells the vehicle how much to draw. Like this is J1772. I'm gonna say J1772 definition is how much should I draw? And the car is like, oh, 20 amps. Okay, I'm going to draw 16. So that's all it does. Now you can buy cheaper plugs from Amazon that gives you that 20 amps. And, you know, between me and all of you, there are hackers out there that actually can take your Nissan Leaf's charger and make it draw more than the 12 amps that it is drawing right now. So look for the community. There's Reddit community on this, and you can probably do it in your garage. Open up the charger and do something with it. So, but I'm not suggesting it at all, ever.
Okay, we got a couple of questions here from some condo dwellers.
Of course.
Dindy D's looking for a whoop whoop if you're in a 70s era condo building. Anybody? And Brendan's in a 90s era one, so that's like a whoop, whip, whip or something. I don't know, a little bit different, but sort of the same. But they're both asking about the security of these plugs because they're outdoors, and also the whether the connectivity in some way helps discourage theft, or as Dindy suggests,
it does.
It's not secure.
Very, very valid point. Extremely valid point. So we thought about that before we even begin, because I was putting my charger on these as well. And so, because I'm solving my own problem first before solving everybody else's problem. In private parking garages, we've had no difficulties on this. And so in terms of security in our product, I'm going to tell you our product security, then I'm going to tell you what I've seen people do. In our product, as soon as you plug in or activate, you get a push notification on your mobile phone that says you've activated. And the same happens if someone unplugs. So as soon as someone unplugs from this, the electricity goes off immediately in 200 milliseconds. Yes, microseconds, too little. Milliseconds. So the next person plugging in has to reactivate. Like that's the security of your account. So there's no way anybody else can use electricity on your dime. Beside that, you can install, let me see if I have them here. I don't have them here. So these holes on here are standard holes. So you can go to Home Depot and buy a $19 cover on this and lock your charger in. Like that's your choice. We've seen people who do that. So that's the other option. The other option is if you don't want to leave your charger and you don't want to put a lock on this to lock it, you can buy Plugzio Universal, which Plugzio Universal it's secured. So it's and you can put your charger on the other side of it. There's videos of this on our website as well. So if you search for security of our device on our help page, there's like images and videos on this as well. But the interesting thing I have seen people do is they do like clever stuff. Like they basically put their chargers in, and we have all images of this too. And they basically put the cable around the conduit and they lock that. Or they drive over, this was the most clever one, they drive over their charging cable so no one can take it. Or I've seen people put the charger inside the vehicle and close the window on it. Like these are like extreme cases. Like if you're like super, conscious about like not having anybody touch your charger, you can do this. But in 95% of the cases, it doesn't get to this point. So
that's great. That helps a lot. I did get a message here from Lee about your previous answer discussing with Don the finer points of a 1520 amp unit, and he suggested it needs to be CSA. To be honest, I didn't quite follow your answer. I was checking some other things. Lee, do you want to speak to that?
We are CSA approved as well. So yeah, if you have.
Oh, no. I just, you're just talking about stuff to get more power than what legally you can. Like you did say at the end there, you said you're not recommending it. It's just, don't buy stuff on Amazon. Like I've seen like these cards with like little testers even that you can do on your own, you can make on your own. None of that is safe to use. Like just don't. It's not safe.
Thank you for
that. That's good to know.
We don't.
And Ernest makes a comment too that you wouldn't want to drive on his cable every day.
Oh yeah, of course. Like these are very wild things I have seen.
There's been I have seen and heard of some pretty crazy solutions to the security around those units. And as I recall, it was years ago when this Leafs were fairly new on the scene. A lot of people were putting up on Facebook and places solutions to this very question.
Yes. Yeah, but put a lock on it. Just spend $16, put a lock on it, and you will be safe.
Yeah, find a way. It's a tricky one, but anyway, there you go. That's good.
Dave, it's Don here again. Just in the question I was asking is, my Leaf comes with a nice container with a cable in it.
Nice.
And I can plug in J1772, and it has where's the cable? Here's the cable. Here's got this big, I don't know what this does, but this big controller thing here on it for some degree. But the plug-in on it is a standard 110 3-prong plug.
Yes.
And my question was, the one that you sell with a 20 amp.
Yes.
Can you plug this into that? And use that
very good question.
with no modifications?
Yes. See, it fits in here.
Yes.
So the way CSA designed the 20 amps is basically that horizontal line can fit in here, but this also means the vertical line can also fit in here. So on a 20 amp circuit, you can get a 15 amp and a 20 amp, but on a 15 amp circuit, because you don't have this horizontal line, then you can't put in a 20 amp device on a 15 amp plug.
Right.
Mind blown, right? So they thought about this.
Okay, but when I plug this in, I only get 15 amps, not 20.
Yes.
Or 12 amps instead of 15 or whatever the numbers work out to. Okay, that's the question. So does it make any sense to buy a 20 amp one when you're using this cord without having an adapter from this cord to the 20 amp thing?
You probably need a different charger for that. I don't know if this charger supports it or not.
Do you mean
maybe it does?
When you say charger,
that thing needs to change. Yes.
When you say charger, you're meaning a charger cord.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I need clarification on. Thanks very much.
Of course.
So for you, I might direct you to the chat for those of you haven't, because Larry's got. Sorry, this makes me laugh. He lives in a condo that has lots of cranky seniors who don't want to see EVs plugged in, and you can picture them unplugging my cord. Sorry, I got visions of people in slippers walking around the middle of the night doing their damage. I would suggest it's time, Larry, that you invite these people for a ride in your EV. That'll change their mind, man, quick.
Yeah,
get them to buy
it. Exactly. See, this is also the problem Plugzio solves. That's why I said we're not here only for charging. We're solving the fairness problem. Like all these people on slippers unplugging others, they think it's not fair for them to pay for their electricity. So if you install Plugzio, their problem is solved. And it's funny because I also, very quickly, we sold a unit to somebody who owns a McLaren. It's downtown Vancouver, and he's a super rich guy. And people were unplugging his battery conditioner. They're like, I'm not paying for your freaking, you have the money. So, like he was like, oh, I need to, because this is nothing compared to electric vehicle, but people still unplug him. So yeah,
maybe
so
maybe you could line up some $10 bills under the windshield wiper and say, please take one.
Yeah,
make them feel better. Leave your car alone.
Yeah, yeah. Because the cost of him replacing the battery is a lot more than just the electricity cost. Like,
yeah, right on. Oh, that's awesome, Mohammed. We're actually, from what I can see, caught up on our questions here. So people certainly welcome to add more. We're moving on to 3 o'clock. Well, not quite, 1:45 almost. And so, I'm feeling like we need a bit of time too, because wasn't there something else?
Thanks so much for having me, David.
I wanted to, yeah, you're very welcome. And everybody's got links through to Mohammed's website, the Plugzio thing.
Yes.
Boy, it's been keen because I've been kind of on my mind for a while, this item, and it's really good to hear some in-depth about what you've got going there. And I wish you all the best with this, and perhaps we'll be talking to you again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the time.
Lots of people saying thanks on chat. So yeah. Mohammed, yeah, take care of yourself, and you can stick around if you want. You're more than welcome, but I don't want to keep you. I'm sure you're busy selling Plugzio units and answering questions elsewhere. So take care, man.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Glenn, we'll get back to you now, I guess. Moving on here. That was good. My head's sort of swimming. I like the chat, and I want to thank everybody for your enthusiasm and your willingness to dive in on these issues and questions. And Glenn, you're going to talk a little bit then about Project Arrow, which came to light earlier. Also, someone in the room mentioned it. I guess VicEVA had someone talking about it today. Is that true?
I don't know about VicEVA, but if Jim can enable my share.
1 second.
We've all heard a lot of noise down east about original equipment manufacturers all putting money into getting involved in EV projects. And a little over a year ago, the automotive, I'm just going to get this right here. Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, the APMA, they decided to showcase the ability of all the various parts manufacturers across Canada, but they're mainly in Ontario. They want to showcase their ability to build zero-emission vehicles to the world. And they have some great numbers saying that we have a huge surplus in a lot of very intelligent people coming out of UVic who are there and able to help. Whoops, hang on, I'm going to turn that off. Help manufacturers get on with making zero-emission vehicles. So I was on a webcast with Colin Dillon, who's the Chief Technical Officer, and he was kind of walking everybody through it. So they've gone and they have a 4-phase rollout of a prototype. And the whole idea is just to show what Canadian manufacturers and what the brain power that's here in Canada can do. They selected an SUV vehicle, and I'm going to run this short little film and then answer questions after that. So stand by.
Answering Prime Minister Trudeau's call for a zero-emissions future by 2050, the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association of Canada invited design and engineering proposals for Project Arrow, named after the all-Canadian-made Avro Aero Interceptor aircraft from the 1950s. And this past October, from dozens of creative submissions, a spectacular design by the team at Carleton University School of Industrial Design was chosen. Project Aero, Canada's first original, full-build, zero-emission concept vehicle. And as it moves to the engineering phase, Aero will come to life, led by the vehicle build team from Ontario Tech University and the virtual build team from the Windsor-Essex VR Cave. This leading-edge approach ensures that each design and engineering decision is scrutinized and realized. Prototype simulations for both the vehicle itself and its individual parts manufacturing usher in a new era for Canadian industry. With support from over 100 Canadian organizations, this groundbreaking digital twin approach to design, engineering, and manufacturing will showcase Canada's leadership not only in the automotive supply sector, but in the rapidly evolving future of mobility.
All right. So that's roughly what they're about. They, like I said, they have 4 phases here. And they've gone through phase 1, design competition and selection, engineering specs released, and request for proposals. And now sometime in 2021, they'll come up with a full 360-degree virtual concept unveiling. And then they'll put it all together in 2022 and roll it out to the world. So it's all very interesting. As you can see, it's an SUV setup, but it's all based on a skateboard chassis. So that can then be modified to whatever else it needs to be. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Stop the share there. Some good quotes I got out of that. These will be Canadian built EVs that will sell throughout the former NAFTA, now USMCA markets, as well as being set up to build for global markets. Yeah, and one of the key things they're going forward on is the vehicle as a caregiver. So this vehicle will be kind of hooked into what the person is feeling physiologically and be able to work with them and see when they're getting upset or they're chill or maybe way too chill to be in the car. And also you saw how the seats can swivel outboard and then let people get out without having to swing their legs out, right? So that's kind of the key things. They do want to work towards autonomous, but that's not exactly the lead part of this. They stress a lot that there's zero emission vehicles because the concept is also meant to carry a hydrogen fuel cell. So we'll see how that, what happens with that going forward, because we know the world's breaking down the door for hydrogen fuel cell light duty vehicles. But yeah, anyway, it was very cool to see the presentation and listen to Colin speak to it. He's obviously jazzed. The parts manufacturers, they know that trying to stick with the legacy internal combustion engine world is just a really quick way to lose a ton of manufacturing in Canada. So they're trying to lead forward. So yeah. I see one question here from Dawn talking about, yeah, so what they're doing is they're using this project as a demonstrator, right? They're going forward, they're going to build this one SUV. They're using a lot of 3D visualization, so you can crawl inside the car, see the interactions with various bits of electronics and the physical interaction of things, which everybody does now in computer-aided design, not computer-aided design, Charlie knows better than me anyway, that design process. So they don't intend to market this specific vehicle. The specific vehicle is to tell the rest of the world, hey, come to Canada, we got good people, we can do this stuff. And I think that's awesome. I think they're looking at the wrong market. They should be looking at medium and heavy duty vehicles, but they'll figure that out. So yeah, that's Project Arrow. Now, Jim, you had something you were going to start on, right?
Just give me a couple of seconds here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Brendan, it is just a concept car. There's no one company that's going to jump up and say, "Hey, come buy the Arrow." They said they picked the name Arrow to allude to the advanced Canadian technology that led to the CF 105 Arrow program. However, of course, it didn't get past prototype stage, so I thought maybe they could have picked something a little more successful. But anyway, I picked that. Whatever. Yeah.
Before you go, or Jim starts, can I ask a question out to the generals, especially those with Leafs? I've seen some reports this past week on one of the EV Facebook pages about someone having to replace a unit that allows their cars to charge, and it costing $7,000 to the dealer to replace this. And I'm wondering if anybody else has ever heard of this happening, of the car not charging and having to replace, I think it's called the PDA unit of the car, which is, I think, basically the big part on top of the upper part of what you look into the engine bay of a Leaf is the actual charger. And so something screwed up with that, but I can't believe that it would cost $7,000 to replace a component of the car. And Nissan just seems to be shooting itself in the face with this stuff. In doing this, and I'm wondering if anyone has ever heard of this happening to anybody else.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And having monitored things across the country, that's a new one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, is that good for you, Don?
Yep, that's good. Thanks.
Okay, Jim, we ready?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out to everybody that as of tomorrow, David Grove becomes a financial burden to the Canadian taxpayer. Imagine me doing this 13 times to get.
Yeah. So, happy
birthday to you. Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Presidente. Happy birthday to you.
Make a wish, Dave.
Right on. Okay, it's been done.
That all depends on your perspective. Some of us are considerably older.
Oh, well, fine. We all have our burdens to bear, crosses to bear.
Hydrocarbon-based candles?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's your electrics?
Just looks like a lot of short circuits to me. Oh dear, that's very nice. Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. I'm stressed. Oh, I feel like $1 million now. Bring on another year of COVID. Bring on another year of COVID. I'm ready for it now.
All right.
You might get your wish.
The trouble is, Jim gets to eat all the cake.
I don't think he's troubled by that.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
This was fun.
That's good.
I have to do for the club.
I will mention here quick that Mohammed put up his email. Actually, I don't know if he shared it with everybody, come to think of it. Yeah, to everyone. He put it up there, Mohammed@plugzio.com, so you can contact him directly. Just after that.
The video of the chat will go up tomorrow, and it'll be embedded in that, and then we'll add it to the newsletter next week.
That's great. Well, folks, we're almost at 3. I mean, we can sit and chat till the cows come home, as they say, but I haven't had my lunch yet. I just realized maybe that's why that cake looks so tasty. So I want to thank you all again. Unless I've missed something, please feel free to jump in if I have, and just dive in at this point. But call it an official end to this little event. I really enjoyed this one for some reason. I don't know why. I guess it was that cake at the end that did it for me, maybe. But there was a lot of good Excuse me while I tell my wife to stop speaking like that. Show some respect. She's muttering in the background about my age. So that's cool. That's all right. I got a car. I got an electric car. I'm a happy man.
There you go.